What is up, you guys, and welcome back to another edition of the podcast. This is Dad's podcast project. And let me preface this episode by stating that long nights make for very, very long days. I am exhausted by the time of recording this. And that's pretty much it. So let's just get right into the subject. So last night was a very long night. Both kids decided that they were going to be up and about at about 11 o'clock at night yesterday. And for the most part, that's just what happens. That's a luck of the draw. There's no guaranteeing that your children are going to sleep through the night. And unfortunately for my wife and I, who were very tired, they both decided to wake up. Our daughter, I'm not sure if our daughter woke up first or if it was our son, but he was crying and he wanted to come to our room, or he just didn't want to go to sleep. And he wasn't really conversing with us, like, what is wrong? Would tell us, like, why are you sad? Why are you crying? Instead, he was becoming like almost kind of semi-violent, like just didn't want to use any words to describe how he was feeling, just wanting to push and shove his body weight around, not necessarily taking physical action against us, but still like trying to like throw his body weight around. And that's not something that my wife is really down with. So I took control of the situation and told him, you know what, let's go ahead, let's go to the living room and let's just go to the living room together, because our daughter, she needed to go back to bed. A simple little pat on the back and a few little shushes, and she was out like a light again. But because of the way that my son was acting, she wasn't going to be able to sleep like that if he was in the room with her. So he and we went out to the living room and we sat there for a bit, and he was still kind of like whining and just not really expressing what it was that was bothering him. So I kind of tried to come at it from different angles and try to work the situation backwards and ask him, like, are you mad? Are you sad? Like, what's the emotional trigger for what you're feeling kind of approach? And eventually I landed on, I think it was sad. Are you sad? And he said, yeah, he was sad. And it's like, okay, well, did you have a nightmare? And sure enough, he did. Now, this is the first time he's expressed that he's had a bad dream to me. I don't know if he's shared this with my wife, but for me, this is the first time he has really just expressed that, yes, he's upset and he's crying because he had a bad dream. And so I asked him about it. I was like, well, what was it about? And he told me, and we kind of just talked about it. And his grandmother had bought him like a little ball, and the dog, where his grandmother is, ended up taking that ball and destroying it. I mean, dogs, they just do what they do. So he was really upset about that, and it spilled over into his dreams. Lack of control, just sort of rewatching a situation that had happened, and maybe it made him upset, but he didn't really express that upsetness at the time. So it just came full circle and hit him in the form of a nightmare or a bad dream. So I told him, well, it's going to be okay. You know, this stuff happens, but you can talk to me about your bad dreams. You can tell me if you're sad. You can tell me if you're angry, and it's going to be okay. And really just trying to get the point across that, you know, you got to use your words. You're becoming a bigger boy now, and we're at the point where you can talk to me. We don't have to do this whole grunting and groaning and leaving me to try to run through every single type of scenario of what it could be. It's like, let's just, you know, for lack of a better explanation, let's get to the point and let me try to help you through this. So that was what we experienced this morning, uh, or last night, I should say, around 11:30 p.m. And then he didn't, he still wasn't wanting to go to bed. He wanted like just a sip of milk. So I gave him a little bit of milk, and I asked him, okay, well, do you want to camp in the living room? Like you can sleep on the couch. I'll sleep on the other couch and we can just make a night of this. And he kind of said, yeah, knowing in the back of my mind, as soon as he fell asleep, I was going to carry him, put him back in his bed. I didn't want to spend the whole night on the couch. I need to get my rest too. And yeah, I put on the movie Up, which he's really into. Not going to bag on the movie, but I've seen it enough. I'm sure you other parents out there, when your child becomes like a fan of a film, you just watch it multiple times back to back to back every single day for weeks on end. I'll be happy when this one takes a break. We were okay with Moana when our son was really into that film. Like the songs are catchy, the movie was great. But Up, I was never really a fan, even when I saw it when it had first come out. So the fact that my son is so passionate about that film, I can't really get on board. But at the same time, I'm not gonna. What would it be? I'm not gonna, I guess, limit his ability to enjoy that piece of cinema. So he eventually went back to bed. It was about like 3 minutes into Up, and then he crashed out. So I carried him, took him back to his bed, and figured that's that. Then comes 4:30ish, 5 o'clock in the morning. Boom, wailing, crying, but this time he had got up out of his bed, came into our bedroom, and was trying to climb into bed. And I could hear my wife like sort of the back and forth, like she's tired because she's watching these children all week. The weekends are her time, and that's where myself, I need to step it up and really just try to play that, fill that role so that she can get her rest. And so because he was just really being, I guess, I'm trying to find the right words to put, but he was just, again, throwing his body weight around and expressing the same character traits that he had the night before. So I said, you know what, let's just go to the living room. Let's go together, get your blankets. I'm going to get my stuff. I'm still trying to wipe sleep out of my eyes because I was crashed out. I was dead to the world. And to wake up, it's sort of like just immediately moving into go mode. So he and I, we go to the living room. He's kind of crying. All the while, like my brother, he's also in town visiting. So I would like it if our son would, respect that there are other people in the house who are trying to get some sleep, guests. Even though it's family, it's like, I don't want to have him feeling a sense of lack of sleep because of this. So we sat in the living room and we put on the movie again, and we talked about his nightmare this time. I'm remiss because I totally forgot what it was about. I'm not gonna lie. I remember what the first one was about, but the second one I was still trying to get my legs under me. So I forgot what the second nightmare was about, but he did have another nightmare. And so it's just one of those things, like our kids are going to begin to experience these things. And whereas before they may have woken up in the middle of the night, or you hear them whimpering in their sleep when they're newborns or they're toddlers, and it's not until they can fully formulate sentences and express like educated thought that you begin to understand that there are multiple levels to which they're experiencing the world, even at that young of an age. So trying to talk to them and trying to have the patience on reserve, because I feel like it's very easy to just say, go to bed. It's early. Just lay your head down. And though that solves whatever situation we might be in as having our children come into the room and wake us up, that really doesn't address, that wouldn't have addressed what my son was going through. Had I taken the the fast track, like the fast track, and just cut him off. Whatever you're feeling, go to bed. Like, I'm not even concerned with what you're feeling. Go to bed. That does him a disservice at that point. So I really have to tap in and think about tapping into just levels of patience and levels of understanding. I'm going to be restless. I'm going to be tired from what I'm told from people who have been there, done that, and who are currently in this situation, like in living the parent life, that I will be tired for the next 18 years, and for some, the next 21 years, and for even summer, I don't know, say even less, for the rest of your life. You're always going to need to be there. You're always going to need to answer that call. So for me, I've got to be patient. I've got to have the time to give him. I can't just send him off. I can't shoo him away. He's going through something. And if he can't come to me, if he's left to just figure it out, then what am I? What am I doing? I got to be able to, or not that I have to, but I want to be able to help him through these things, to help him navigate through his emotions as he taps into different levels of them throughout his life. To understand that nightmares are not real, that bad dreams go away, and that he doesn't have to live fearing that he can't tell me anything, that he just has to cry or grunt or groan or throw his body weight around, that he can express what it is he's feeling. Just tell me. Just let me know. I'll listen. And if there's something that I can say to help, I'll say it. If just being there helps, then I'll just be there. And it was, again, as I said earlier in the podcast, the first time that my son expressed to me that he had a nightmare. Maybe all the other times he was crying and going through this emotional roller coaster, it was the very same thing. Maybe he had a bad dream or a nightmare on those occasions, but he never told us. He never let us know that this was what he was going through. This was what he's experiencing. And maybe he didn't have the vernacular to put that thought together and express it to us so that we could understand. All he knew was that he was sad or he was scared, and that if it was a bad dream about us, maybe he was still in this half kind of limbo, frustrated with still being tired, just a multiple level of things that we all go through when we're deprived on sleep as well. So tapping into that level of patience, even if it's already tapped out. I think that when you become a parent, you're allotted extra little like perks. And for most people, when they're tapped out on those energy banks, as parents, you kind of have like a little bit more in the tank. And so tapping into that for myself and giving him that time he needs, giving him that patience that he deserves, and sitting through all these things that both my children, eventually my daughter's going to come to the age where she's going to be having these sit downs with me and expressing what it is that she's thinking, what it is that she's feeling. And it's going to be interesting. I'm going to cut it short. I'm very tired. It was a very long day, but I definitely wanted to share this. I wanted to talk about it because it was a first. It was a first for me. I'll end it there. But I mean, what about you guys? I definitely want to continue to pursue a dialogue with those of you who listen to these podcasts, especially with those of you who make it to the end. What has been your experience as parents? Have you had your children come to you with nightmares, and how did you handle it? If you told them just go straight to bed when they were children and they grew up fine, or they had maybe different little issues later in life. Because again, I'm not here to try to tell you how to parent. I'm not saying that wouldn't work either, because we all have to be able to wrangle our own emotions, and maybe sending them off to bed and not hearing them out. Just, I'm tired. I have work in the morning, go to bed. Maybe that worked. I'd be interested to hear it. I'd be interested to hear your experiences and what worked and what maybe didn't work for you guys. You're always free to leave it down in the comment section down below. You can send me a DM to my Instagram. It is at Dad's Podcast Project. I've updated the handle. So just one word, Dad's Podcast Project on Instagram. There you can slide in the DMs. Send me any topic suggestions that you guys might have, any questions or any feedback or little tidbits of knowledge. Because again, it's a community of parents who are really just trying to figure it out. You can read it in a book, you can watch it on a YouTube video, you can hear it on a podcast. I don't know everything, and I can guarantee neither do you. But when we share our knowledge with each other, we grow and we learn and we know a little bit more than we did before. So I'm going to end it there. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to listen to these podcasts. And as always, till next time, see ya.